Boy, it's good to be back. Hi, yeah, thanks for coming back. I was saying to Kevin, I'm ready for 5 people, 30 people, I don't care. I'm just happy to be back. It's nice to be here with you all. So let's begin with our Narayaṇi chant. So you probably have that. It's at the top of your, how's the volume? Is it on? It's good? Must have clogged ears. Okay. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha. Are you ready? Do you want to lead it? No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. You stepped up. You could. All right. So it's at the top there, and there's an English translation down below. Essentially, this is a prayer that is calling to the Devi and her form as Narayaṇi, one of the 108 names of the goddess in the Hindu tradition. But Narayaṇi is also considered to be an expression of Tara, Hindu manifestation of the Buddhist goddess Tara. So there's a lot of overlap in Hindu and Buddhist Tantra because both of them sprung out of the soil of India, Mother India. So I have a special affinity for Tara. My upbringing and my training is more within the Buddha Dharma, but I love all of the Indian thought, Indian philosophy, and Hinduism as well. So this chant was taught to me by one of my professors when I was had a short stint as a grad student at CIIS many years ago. Karabai Sen is her name, a Bengali professor, and Hindu goddesses is her specialty. So one day in class, I asked her if she had a chant to Tara, because I know Tara is also honored in Hinduism, not just as a Buddhist goddess, but also like a Durga character, dark, wrathful, fierce Tara, especially in Bengal. So she brought this prayer for me. She said, okay, I'll bring you a prayer next week. And she brought this, taught it to me. So we chanted at the beginning of every class. We're going to do 21. I feel like I want to jump back in together with a good steeping in this chant. How many people are here for the first time tonight? Great, welcome. Good. Okay, so you're going to get, you're being thrown in the deep end, but that's a good way to go. It's like a meditation, really treat this like a mantra meditation, but it's a long mantra or a shloka. And it's in Sanskrit. What I'll do first is say the first line, you'll repeat after me, second line, repeat after me, and so on. And then we'll jump in together and we'll do 21 times total. So make sure you're comfortable. Yeah, if you need to sit up on a meditation seat, feel free to do that. It's nice to have your knees lower than your hips. So if you need to get up on a cushion to do that, please do so. Yeah, good. Let's begin by closing our eyes and taking some deep breaths. Understanding that as we do this chant, we're opening our hearts to the blessings of the Great Mother in her many forms, this turning towards a power or an energy, a blessing higher than us to help uplift us in our life and to help uplift all beings in the cycle of samsara, cycle of birth and death. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha, Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha, paritrāṇa parāyaṇe, paritrāṇa parāyaṇe, Sarvasyārti hare Devi, Sarvasyārti hare Devi, Nārāyaṇi namostute, Nārāyaṇi namostute. Together. Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha, paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Nārāyaṇi namostute Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Nārāyaṇi namostute Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Nārāyaṇi namostute Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Nārāyaṇi namostute Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Nārāyaṇi namostute Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Nārāyaṇi namostute Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Nārāyaṇi namostute Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Nārāyaṇi namostute Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Nārāyaṇi namostute Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Nārāyaṇi namostute Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Nārāyaṇi namostute Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Nārāyaṇi namostute Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Nārāyaṇi namostute Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Nārāyaṇi namostute Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Nārāyaṇi namostute Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Nārāyaṇi namostute Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Nārāyaṇi namostute Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Nārāyaṇi namostute Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Nārāyaṇi namostute Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Nārāyaṇi namostute Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Nārāyaṇi namostute Śaraṇāgata dīnārtha paritrāṇa parāyaṇe Sarvasyārti hare Devi Narayaṇi namostute. And let's open our eyes. So we're going to stand up and do some movement before we go into the Dharma talk and practice. I want to just kind of share a little bit personal sharing for you all. I had spine surgery about 5-6 months ago, and the healing process is going more slowly than we would like, but it's going. And so I asked Hannah to set up a bed for me because sometimes I need to lie down. I didn't want my inability to sit up for long periods of time to hinder me coming and being with you. Okay. So I am going to break the glass box, ceiling box, and welcome you into the opportunity also to find various positions that might also be better for you and your body. You know, I figure as a teacher, it's good to encourage people to do the same thing because that is definitely what I've had to do over the years. And so I just wanted to get that out of the way so you knew that if you see me lying down, I might have to guide the meditation lying down. It's just where I'm at right now. So hopefully that won't last for too long. And so let's go ahead and stand up now. And we're going to do a little movement. You can stand in front of or on top of your cushion. Sometimes it's nice to be on the wood floor. I think I'm going to take off my sweater. Hold on. So while I'm doing that, take this standing meditation posture with your heels together and your toes slightly turned out. Right hand and then the left hand on your navel. And then find a drishti or a point of focus along the floor, just past the ridge of the tip of your nose, a comfortable downward angle, and soften the gaze and start to breathe into the feet. Soften the jaw, soften the face. So then, from here, open the heels parallel and take your right foot, I'll show you the side, right foot back, weight on top of the toes, and then you're going to rotate the ankle outward. We'll do 10 reps. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then other side. Finding that drishti helps you also to balance. Feel like your standing leg is rooted down. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Reverse. 1, 2. Reach up through the crown of your head. Navel draws back. 8, 9, and 10. Good. So we work with the base. We always send our taproot down. That's why we do the feet first. This is called the Dasha Chalanam. These movements I'm showing you right now are called the 10 churnings. Dasha means 10. Churnings means, chalanam means to churn. So we're churning the different joint sites of the body, 10 in this number. So we've done the feet. Now we come up to the head. We're going to work our way down the body. So release the chin down and start to move to the right shoulder, up and around. We'll do 5 reps with the neck. 2, 3, 4, 5, and reverse. 1, relax the shoulders, feel the breath in the belly. 2, and soften the soles of the feet against the support of the floor. 4, 1 more. And coming around to 5. When you get to your chest, inhale the face back into neutral. Exhale. Now we do the shoulders. Forward, up, down, and back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, good. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now bring the hands, interlace them in front of the face, and rotate. We'll do double time. 1, 2, 3. Notice if you get tense up in the ridge of the shoulders. Relax the shoulders down. 7, 8, 9, 10, and reverse. 1, 2. Notice if the face or the eyes are tense. Soften the eyes. You can gaze at the wrists. 8, 9, and 10. Release down. Spiral to your right. Do helicopter arms. Let the head go back. Don't turn your body. I just turn around so you can see the back, what I'm doing. We go in the same direction. I didn't mean for you to turn. So the front hand taps the shoulder joint. The back hand taps the kidney point. Keep going. Let the head turn. Don't keep it forward. Yeah, that's it. So we're getting the spine. Breathing naturally. We'll do a few more reps. Last time to your right, last time to your left, and then arms come down and pick up the hips. So the hips start spiraling to the right. 1, 2, 3. You can imagine that you have drawing circles in the sand, so to speak, with your tailbone. Relax the chest and the face. 9 and 10 and reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay. Bring your feet together. Bend from the back of the knees forward. Hands above the knees. Circle the knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Reverse. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Inhale, come up. Feet hip-width distance apart. Inhale. Exhale, bend the knees, and you're going to wave forward and back through the spine. 2, 3. You can do bigger movements. I'm doing small ones, but you can do bigger ones. Feel like you're seaweed in the ocean, waving forward and back. Loosening up the spine. Good. Keep going. 2 more. And coming up. Inhale. Exhale. Pressing the energy down into the feet. Again, inhale. You can look up if it's okay for your neck. Rooting into the feet. Then hold the breath as you start to move the hands down, then exhale as they pass in front of the face, really rooting the energy down through the legs into the feet. One more time. Inhale. Moving nice and slow. Exhale as the hands pass in front of the face. Just follow along with me. The back of the hands touch and open. Heels, toe come a little bit closer, feet parallel. If you can, squat all the way down. If not, you can just stay up high like this. But if you can, lift the heels and put your hands underneath the arch of the feet and then stand on the tops of your hands. See that? Yeah. Yeah. And not everybody's going to be able to do that. That's fine. So there are different options. You could just stay like this, or you could stay like this. Yeah? Okay. So just bear with me here. Some of you have learned this before. We'll just flow with it today. Sometimes I break this down. So with your next inhalation, turn the face up and make a pucker the lips and inhale through the lips. Then close the mouth, breathe out through the nose. Relax the neck, turning the face down. Again, now inhale, pucker. It's like a bird beak. Sucking in the air like a bird drinks water. And then close the mouth, exhale through the nose, relax the shoulders. One more time. Inhale, turn the face up. And then exhale through the nose. Then inhale up and off the feet. Uttanasana, you can keep the knees bent if you want. And exhale, fold forward. 3 breaths here. Let the head dangle. Really enjoy the tractioning here. This opportunity for the space between the vertebrae to lengthen. And then with your next breath, let's just go ahead and squat down to the cushion and find our way to our meditation seat. I'm also warning you, some of you in the front row might hear a little beeping. That's me. It's my TENS unit that I have on my back. Has anybody ever used a TENS unit? They're really cool. They help with pain. So I'm a cyborg right now. I got 2 little things stuck to my low back. Yeah. Okay, my friends. So finding a comfortable seat, I'll go ahead and guide you through a sit. And then, we'll sit for about 40 minutes. So settling in. Allowing the eyes to close. And let your first few breaths be really deep and luxurious so that with the out breath you can let go of any baggage, any extra tension you might have through the face, the jaw, the neck, shoulders, spine, belly, hips. Just let the tension melt down to the earth. And spend some time just simply being in the moment with the breath and the body before applying any technique or remedy. Just simply open to this experience of being in this moment. Sensations in the body, the sounds around you, aware of the temperature, the bodies of those around you, and so on. Just opening into this simple presence of being. within that space of being, of presence, feel spaciousness open up. Just in a sense, broaden that atmosphere within and around you even more. And feel how that relaxes the base of the skull, the jaw, space behind the eyes and the brow. And maybe the breath begins to naturally deepen. This feeling of spaciousness pervaded by relaxation. This releasing into presence with each breath. And from within this spacious, relaxed state, you can alight upon the feelings of the breath as it flows in and out of the body as a gentle anchor, a light touch. Notice the temperature of the air as it flows in through the nose or mouth. Warmed by the body, you may notice a little warmer temperature of the breath as it flows out. As the breath flows in, how does it touch, massage the throat, the lungs? How does the rest of the body respond? Just feel that full cycle of the breath as it flows in and out of your body, and take interest in it like you're shining a spotlight on the breath for a period of time now. And letting the breath be natural, not forcing the length or depth. And as soon as thoughts of distraction come, notice it and release with the out-breath and come back to the breath. If you can notice sooner, the better. Right away. Like a cat watching a mouse hole. Total absorption, focus. As soon as a distracting thought arises, just gently touch it with awareness. You could label thought if you want, and then come back to the breath. Cultivating meditative stability, concentration. Two qualities of mindfulness or shamatha practice are mindfulness and introspection. So mindfulness is a remembering to be in the present moment again and again, now, now. And introspection is that faculty of the mind that can evaluate, how am I doing? Am I lost in distraction or am I staying with the breath? It's said that about 85% of your attention should be in mindfulness and 15% in introspection. So from time to time, checking in. How's it going? And then there are the two pitfalls of shamatha, which are laxity on the one hand, a stupor, a dullness that can settle in. And on the other hand is agitation, distraction, excitation. If you find that you're dull and sleepy, then you can turn up the internal dial of attention. Maybe take a deep breath, sit up more straight. You can even open the eyes a little bit. On the other hand, if you're lost in excitation or distraction, you can take that breath but focus on the exhalation and soften, relax, settle the mind onto the breath and focus on relaxing back into the practice. So these are your tools for shamatha. 85% mindfulness, remembering to be present in this moment. 15% in introspection. Threading the needle between laxity and excitation. That element of introspection also checks in with the body. Is there tension? Releasing that tension. Is there a slouching? And lifting the chest, sitting up more. So noticing and then adjusting when it's necessary and drop back in without losing your mindfulness. And let this breath awareness not be constricting, but rather be spacious, be opening into a deep state of relaxation, balanced by concentrated awareness. Walking the middle path between laxity on the one side and excitation on the other. And now, without losing this anchor of the breath, but letting it fade into the background, we're slowly going to open the eyes, if they're not open already, and gaze at a comfortable angle towards the floor. Shifting into the practice called settling the mind in its natural state, where now we take the mind itself as the anchor, as the object of meditation. As if we were gazing into the arena or the domain of the mind, we soften the gaze without focusing on any one thing within the field of our vision, as if you could see all the way around you, this lantern consciousness. And then let the eyes be still. Feel free to blink whenever you need to. If you wear glasses, take them off. Relax the muscles behind the eyes. Relax the muscles of the face, the jaw. And while the breath is always there as a supportive backdrop of concentration, of presence, we now shift to being aware of the mind with its thoughts, its fantasies, seeing if we can focus on that gap between one thought and the next, the space within which thoughts arise and pass. See if you can rest your mind in that experience of awareness that pervades thought, memory, fantasy, feelings, pleasure and pain, all of it. Allowing the mind to settle in its natural state, in its natural limpidity, clarity, luminosity, even non-conceptuality. The habitual state of the mind is to churn and turn round and round, and that's not what we're doing. We're releasing that habitual state and settling into the natural state, like a cool pool of water. It's undisturbed. The soot can settle to the bottom of the pond, leaving the water clear. Allow the mind to settle in this way and rest in your natural state, free of grasping, free of distraction. Up until now, we've practiced shamatha, calm abiding, through the breath, through the mind. And now let's integrate a little bit of vipassana into the practice. And we'll do this by, from time to time, turning awareness back in upon itself and asking, who's meditating? Who's concentrating? And who's relaxing? This question, simple. Choose any of those or all. And then relax and see what you find. Who's meditating? Mind looking at mind, and then release and rest. You can even integrate the breath with the inhalation. You can turn awareness back in upon itself. Who's there? Who am I? And then with the out-breath, soften and release. And even more than thinking about it, feel it. What do you find? What do you not find? And then rest. Rest in the presence that remains after the looking, and settle the mind back into its natural state. This looking is taking introspection to another level. This turning in and looking, can I find this thing called the mind? And if so, what is its color, its shape, its location? Does it have a source, a place of abiding, a destination, thoughts coming and going? Look and then release and rest back into that state of awareness that pervades thoughts, that pervades the looking. And you may even identify awareness or rigpa, this quality of presence, of cognizance, clarity, wakefulness, and rest in that. And then now gently allow the eyes to close again, but without losing that feeling of awareness pervading the inner and the outer space. Collapsing the illusion of the duality of inner and outer. And for these last 5 minutes of practice, I'd like to invite you to practice Donglen, this compassion practice, with anyone in your life who you feel that you may need it, including yourself or a loved one or a so-called enemy, challenging person. I'll leave it up to you. And the practice is simply to either take yourself as the object or bring to mind somebody in your mind's eye. And with the inhalation, we imagine that we breathe in their suffering into our heart space, where we transform it, and we breathe out healing, wishes of may you be well, may you be free from suffering. Again, breathing in that which you would normally push away, and breathing out that which you would normally keep for yourself. Let this be intuitive, turning towards perhaps a challenging person or dynamic that you've been avoiding. See if you can bring that into this space, cultivating a greater capacity, empathy and compassion. If you're working with yourself, you can breathe in any challenging or negative feelings or thoughts, breathe it into your heart, and then breathing out the remedy, a feeling of release, of acceptance, of love, whatever comes to you. Practice with the breath. And if breathing in is too much for you, you could just do the metta part, which is the breathing out. May you be well, may you be free from suffering. May you be free from pain, confusion, free from danger. Whatever comes to you, wish that for yourself or for the other. This last couple minutes here, stay with this personal, this heart prayer. And then releasing any visualization, any effort, and just again returning to this quality of being in the moment with your breath in your body, a state of non-meditation, just being. And in fact, this is meditation. If there's a sense of I or me doing something, then you're not truly meditating. It's returning to this natural state. It's a true meditation. And let's come back, opening our eyes, sort of letting the meditative state blend with the post-meditative state, the non-meditative state blend with the post-non-meditative state. As you move around, as you start to do other things, you take care of your body. If you want to reach up or stretch or twist, just feel free to listen to the body, take a few moments. You might want to stand up and fold forward again, traction the spine, whatever feels good to you. So how's the light? Do we need a little more light now? Or is it okay? A little more? Or a thumbs up? I don't know. Does that mean up or it's a good thumbs up? Let's just see what it feels like. But I might want a little light. Yeah. How's that? Is that okay? Yeah. It helps me see you and see my page better. Thank you. Okay. So any questions, comments coming directly out of practice? We did a kind of a survey of a couple of shamatha, calm abiding practices, and then we turned to look back at the meditator, a little bit of insight or vipassana, vipassana. And then we ended with some compassion practice of Tonglen, a very direct, brief version of Tonglen. Any questions coming directly out of your own experience, less philosophical, more practice-oriented? Anything you'd like to ask or share? Yes. Hi.
I've done, the observing awareness practice off and on for a few years, and it's pretty sticky. And so far as like sort of the intellectual self really is striving to experience something, and I found that I used to really say a few years ago it was really sticky. It was like a real constriction whenever it would happen. Now I just kind of don't try at all. It's weird. It's like I kind of approach it apathetically, perhaps, but I'm still in the practice. I don't know. It feels more open and less constricted.
Yeah.
But it also still doesn't feel authentic. Maybe that's Words are imprecise. But...
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah, sometimes it's good to come at something with 50% instead of 150%, because then we're more relaxed with it. So I think that your kind of approach is a good one for perhaps your disposition, right? Maybe you tend to be all in, and yeah, I can tell. I can sense that, which is great. It's a good quality to have, but sometimes it can be sticky. It can be too much. But at the same time, you could say, who's getting stuck? Who's sticky? Who's striving? Keep like the mirrors, that keep going back and back. Who's fixing, or who's trying to do this perfectly? Who? And then rest. So the practice is about looking and then relaxing. So it's a yin and the yang. It's a balance. It's a squeeze and soak. I've talked about that before in class sometimes, like in massage therapy, or any kind of, like, even yoga, the principle is to squeeze the tissues and then relax them, and that's the soaking, right? So you're squeezing and then you're relaxing, allows the circulation to flow back into those tissues, whether it's lymph or blood, right? And that brings healing. And so I like to think of it also like apply that principle to the looking. So you look, and that's a squeeze. So it is a little sticky. It is a little bit a moment of where you're focusing your attention to look, but then you need to soak, release, and let the experience soak into your experience. Let that feeling soak into your experience of meditation, and then rest. It's not something that you're doing constantly. It's something that you apply from time to time, especially, it can be applied at any time, but if the mind is distracted, sometimes it's a nice time to do it because it gives the mind something to do. Right? So instead of getting lost in thought, you say, okay, who's lost in thought? Or can I see the source, location, and destination of these thoughts that I hold, that I'm so identified with? So that can help get unstuck, actually. It can help the mind get unfused with thought. But you look, and then what the teachings say is you look, not finding, then release and rest in the experience. So you're not actually meant to find anything because nothing's there. I just give you the answer right now. It's an exercise that brings you to a state of what they say is you're introducing you to your true face. Ngoshe is the word in Tibetan. Ngoshe, it's like recognizing your own face. It's like the face that you had before you were born, in the Zen. There's a Zen koan. What's the face you had before you were born? This is getting us to our Buddha nature, that which is formless. So that's what this looking is meant to do, not to get us all wound up in mental pretzels. Okay, maybe that'll help too in terms of the squeeze and soak, because that's more of a somatic thing, right? It's less intellectual and more somatic. You see? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, here and then here. You first. Say your name.
I'm Michael.
Michael. Okay.
I feel like I didn't manage to really focus.
Can everybody hear? Yeah. Okay. A little bit. Yeah. If you could speak louder.
I didn't really focus when I had my eyes open.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of distracted me from opening my eyes. Look around
Don't do that.
I didn't do it, but I felt like other people also opening their eyes. Yeah, is there specific things we should do when we have our eyes open, or just let go of the gaze and fix up on?
Yeah, just a comfortable angle past the nose, not so that you're jutting forward with the face. You want the head to be stacked up on top of the spine, and the eyes are just at a comfortable angle past the tip of the nose towards the floor, and then you soften the gaze. Yeah. Like, this is nice. We did this at Esalen, right? We do lantern consciousness. Everybody take your arms out to your side to the point where you can still sort of see your hands. Can you still see them? But you're not looking at them. You're rest the gaze in front of you, soften to a more broad, diffuse awareness. Move them back just to where you can't see them anymore. And then stop and see what that feels like. Then bring your hands together in more of a spotlight consciousness and stare at the hands when they're together. That's more spotlight. So this practice of settling the mind in its natural state, in all open-eyed meditation for that matter, is about having more of that lantern consciousness, that feeling. So no, you're not looking at the patterns and tripping out on the faces you're seeing, or that can happen a little bit, but then you just witness that and you let it go. But if somebody's fidgeting next to you, maybe you notice it, but you don't let the mind go. It can be a bit more advanced, especially when you're in a group, because there's the movement that couldn't be happening around you, or the clutter. At home you can sit in front of a wall, or like I've been lying down on my back a lot, and the ceiling is a wonderful thing to gaze at, or the sky, or you could do stargazing. I've done that before, where you pick a point in the sky and then you soften. So it's like there is a point that's sort of holding you there, but then you're also softening. Sky gazing is a very common practice in the Dzogchen tradition. So you actually learn to then get comfortable raising the gaze and then mixing awareness with space. Space becomes your teacher. It shows you the nature of your mind. So this is like a preliminary step to that. You're getting used to it. It's totally a falsehood that meditation is only done with the eyes closed. I want to blow up that myth. It's just not true. It's a great way. I love meditating with my eyes closed. Sometimes that's all I want to do, but then it's equally as valid to open the eyes and learn how to do that, because then you can bring that into your daily life. Then I can be in meditation when I'm looking at Mark or Hannah. I can have this wakeful quality of mindfulness when I'm at work or driving. And it doesn't always just have to happen in here without everybody shut the fuck up. Let me meditate, can you bring it into your life? Especially if you're a parent. It's good to learn that, because they'll drive you nuts if you don't. You think, oh, I can't practice Dharma anymore because I'm a mom or dad. That means your teachers have fallen short in teaching you. That giving us the impression that we can only practice when we go off to the monastery or be a celibate or cloister ourselves. Yeah, it's good to do that, but that's not, going off to the cave is not the only way. I find that being a mother was way more challenging than going off to the cave. It's like, give me the cave, give me the cave, right? It's not that easy to do that either, but at least you just get to focus on yourself. When you're a parent, you're talking about ultimate selflessness. You have to give up what you want. Doesn't matter what you want to do. Do you want to sleep? Doesn't matter. Okay. Well, we've got to drive all blames into one, right? So let's number 12. This is our next slogan. You've got the hand out there. And this is the koan. I like this kind of Tibetan style of koan practice where we contemplate a one-liner and we bring it into our life. And so this one is drive all blames into one. Another translation is realize all faults spring from one source, which is interesting. It's a nice way to feel into that one. But literally it is more like drive all blames into one. It's Leilen tamche chikla da in Tibetan, which basically means da is the verb to drive. It's actually what the word that's used for shooting an arrow. Chikla is one, tamche is all, lenla is fault. So it's literally drive all blames into one. But I like this realize all faults spring from one source, because that gives us a little bit more of a sense of what are they talking about here. So what this is pointing to is, instead of blaming the world or our spouse or our kids or circumstances or boss, turn that tendency to blame the outer world back around it's not about blaming yourself per se, but looking at the source of your suffering. So, we can't take responsibility for people out there, right? We can't control the environment, but what we can control, what we can take responsibility is for ourselves and the way we react to the world. And meditation and Dharma is all about that. It's about self-revelation, self-maturity, self-awareness. But it's also about releasing the clinging to the self. And so in this slogan, what we find is the teaching that points us back towards looking at the root of all of our suffering. And I want to put it out here to you guys. What do you think that might be? What is that one that they're saying to drive all the blame into? And what are we ignorant of? Right? Right, good. Selfing. Self and othering, yes, exactly. So in this context, the one is self-clinging. Self-clinging. Meaning clinging to something that actually doesn't exist. And that's why we suffer. So drive all blames into one is saying, instead of looking out there for all your, blaming the outer world for all your problems, look at what the source of your own samsara and nirvana is, which is you, your own mind, but in particular, the source of your own suffering is this misapprehending the way, misapprehending your true nature, who you really are. You are not a separate self. So clinging to a separate self is illusory, and it causes all sorts of afflictive emotions, hatred, grasping, an imbalance of desire. Desire is not horrible. We can integrate desire into our practice, but if it's targeted in ways that are not good or wholesome or healthy for ourselves, then it can be a problem. So these types of afflictive emotions of arrogance, pride, jealousy, anger, grasping, all stem from the core delusion, which is self-grasping. So that's the root. And that's why this slogan says, drive all blames into that tendency that we have to reify our separate sense of self instead of blaming others for our problems. So in this sense, the one is our self-centeredness. The word in Tibetan is dak zin. Dak zin, dak is self, zin is to grasp. And in the early days of translation, Western translators would translate that term as ego, dak zin, which is sort of accurate, but more literally, and I think it helps us to understand it, is this idea of grasping, zin, at a sense of self, dak zin, self-grasping. It's a little different than ego, especially as Jung and Freud defined it. So what the Dharma teaches is that this tendency to zin onto our dak, grasp onto ourself, is actually not innate to you. It's not like your true nature. Remember, in the meditation, I said, differentiate between your habitual state and your natural state, right? Habitual state is to dak zin, but it's not your innate. It's not your natural state. Your natural state is liberated from that. It's enlightened. Buddha nature, that's your natural state. It's just been clouded over with too much of that other thing, dak zin, misapprehending who we are because of this illusory sense of separateness. We talked about this, the ground of being, where we split from the ground of being in the retreat that I just did at Esalen. A couple of you were there. There's this sort of existential terror that happens when we split from the ground of our essential nature. And then there's that split of self and other, and then all the other afflictive emotions and problems, karmas, gather around that initial split and misapprehension of our true nature, which is one or unified with consciousness, with ground of being. And so, or your own Rigpa or Buddha nature, these are all synonyms for that. So Daksin is not innate to you. In fact, it's a mistake or a habit based on misperception of who you are. The great Mahayana teacher Shantideva said that if all harm, fear, and suffering in the world occurs due to grasping onto the self, what use is that demon to me? If all harm, fear, and suffering in the world occurs due to grasping onto the self, what use is that demon to me? So he's going right to the root. This is Machi Glapdrin's fourth demon she teaches on, which is self-clinging, self-grasping. And so he's saying, if this causes so many problems, why do I carry this demon around with me, this mental affliction? Instead, what the Lojong and the Tonglen practices aim to do is to help us experience the collapse of the duality of self and other, so that we come home to our true nature and we diminish self-cherishing and self-grasping, and we increase a feeling of connection and compassion and empathy for others, so that we increase other cherishing, they say. It doesn't mean we put ourselves down, but in a sense it means that we begin to cherish or appreciate or value or care for or love even others just as much as we would love ourselves, just as much as we would love our family. I mean, that's really what Lojong is all about, is about feeling that actually the world is your family. Get to that point within yourself where you can treat somebody on the street with as much care and compassion as somebody in your family. I mean, that's where the real challenge is. So, drive all blames into one. So my mom used to always do this. You've probably seen this too, which is, when I'd be blaming my friend for this or her for that, she'd be like, well, when you're pointing the finger, you've got three pointing back at you, right? I'm sure you guys have all heard that before, right? A lot of you have. So I feel like that is a mudra for this slogan. This is our mudra. Yeah, it says it all in a nutshell. This, notice when you're pointing your finger. And then think, okay, well, what role do I have to play in this? And not like, oh, I'm a bad person, but more of like, where is the cause of my suffering in this situation? Oh, it's because I'm clinging to a sense of self that I have to justify or assert or prove or defend. What if there's no target on your back? I mean, what some of these teachings even say is, and also be willing to take the blame, like literally. Like, can you take the blame sometimes? Now, there are times when it's like, no, I'm not taking the blame. But there are times when you're kind of like, wait a minute, maybe I need to take the blame here, and then watch what happens. Sometimes it can really diffuse the situation in a cool way. You can say, whoa, I'm really sorry for my role in this, And what I've experienced is often that opens people up to more connection with you, more vulnerability with you, and then something more can happen, something magical can happen. So the deeper thing is to drive all blames into your self-clinging, your self-cherishing. But on more of kind of a conventional level too, start to find ways in your life where maybe you don't need to be the right one all the time. Like who who needs to be right? Do Vipassana with that. Who needs to be right? Who needs to be right all the time? Well, if that person doesn't exist, then why am I wasting so much energy? You see? Who? Remember, no self, no problem. That's the key to life. It's a very liberated way to be. And it doesn't mean you go poof into thin air or that you become a minion and everybody's, servant. It's actually you become very empowered. You become very free. That's why I love the Lord. I say this all the time. Why I love these teachings is it turns things on their head. You're actually finding freedom by doing what you normally wouldn't do. You're finding something new. And that's like magic, right? Have you noticed that those of you who've been coming a lot and doing the Lojong practice, are you noticing your life taking on some different elements that you might not have noticed before? New approaches to dealing with challenging people in your life, like instead of fighting them, like breathing out loving kindness. Because now we're in the domain of bringing these teachings into the world. Remember, we're transforming all adversity and felicity onto the path of Bodhi, of awakening. And we do that by moving through the world with this wisdom, like carrying it, breathing it, not just keeping it on your cushion. Maybe time for a couple comments? Or how does that feel to you? Do you feel like you're willing to try it? To drive all blames into one? That's not your spouse. Blame is not a very powerful position to be in when you're blaming the world. It's really disempowering. Yeah.
I find that I struggle blaming myself too much.
Right.
And I understand the intent of these. I guess I would just be curious about what your distinction is between taking too much blame on oneself versus things that one can control.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You want to have self-awareness and a sense of ego, a healthy sense of ego, so you know where your boundaries are and you know when to say no or not take the blame, right? And to say, no, actually, I didn't do that. Or that's actually not my fault. So that's also a very important part of practice and a part of Dharma and meditation. So what this is pointing towards is maybe more of the personalities who tend to not do that and to tend to be like, I always have to be right. But then also what you could meditate on is that deeper level. Like, okay, well, who tends to take the blame too much? And where is the self-grasping in that? Because there is equal self-grasping in that. You see? It's just the other side of the coin. So then let that be your koan. Yeah. I feel that way too, Yeah, is it to get love? Is it to be accepted? Is it to placate, avoid conflict? In all of those reactions to the world, there's still self-grasping. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for asking that. Okay, well, I want to respect your time, your evening. I hope you found this fruitful. And it's always such a joy to share these teachings with you. And I hope to see you again next week. I'm glad I broke the barrier and let myself lie down for a little bit. I feel like I can be here with you. And that goes for you too, like I want this to be an invitation. Lying down meditation is one of the 4 viable, many ways we can meditate, but the Buddha taught 4, right? Seated, lying, standing, and walking. So I invite you to not be shy about that as well. If you have issues with your back or your hip or something, knees, chair, but also lying down can be a good way to meditate. So there. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Let's take a moment to dedicate our practice for the benefit of our healing, our collective healing for the whole world in this time of ever greater and greater need. Like a drop of water releasing into the vast ocean of positive energy. Let's dedicate and let that energy multiply, limitless, like the ocean. Thank you. Yeah, and for those of you who maybe the blame word doesn't resonate, you could just think of this other variation of it. Realize all faults spring from one source, which is self-grasping too. I mean, maybe that's a little bit better, maybe not, but that's a nuance that might help you. So I'll sit up here for a little bit. If you want to come and ask a question or introduce yourself, especially the new folks, I like to meet you. You can come just introduce yourself. That's great too. And then, of course, you can enjoy some tea out in the lobby and meet your Sangha community. And Hannah, do you have any announcements?
One announcement is that our Eventbrite page, our homepage, is broken right now. We temporarily got banned, and then they broke our landing page. So we can have like individual events are up there. So if you're trying to find like, hey, what's coming up at the Olympic, the best place to do that is on our website. So just berkeleyolympic.org/events, and you can find a calendar view with everything that's coming up. And then hopefully Eventbrite will be fixed soon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag with Eventbrite, isn't it? Yeah.
We will be transitioning.
Will you?
New
Good.
this year. So,
yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, dear. Yeah.
I'll collect all of the handouts.
Yes, you can collect them, and if people want them, you can keep them too. It's really up to you.